This is the Hub on Hollywood, an iHeartRadio podcast. I'm your co-host, James Rojas.
And I'm Jamie Blanco.
On this week's episode, we have a non-spoiler review of what may be the best movie trilogy in entire cinema history, Paddington in Peru. Non-spoiler,
Okay.
Don't worry. This will be a non-spoiler because Jamie has not seen it. We also celebrate the 20th anniversary of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. We say goodbye to two actors, one who was a living legend and another who many of us in our generation, Jamie, grew up watching. Zendaya joining a beloved Mean Green franchise and more. But first, Jamie,
James.
I have to say, we talked about, there's this New England lawmaker in Connecticut who is taking aim at movie theaters that run trailers, commercials for way too long, extending the time that you are in that seat, wasting your precious, irreplaceable time. Well, one person is actually he took a movie theater to court, and he won for that exact reason. First, we'll get into the details, but when you heard that somebody actually did take a movie theater to court, what went through your head?
Yeah. I'm like, was it James?
It was me. I'm kidding.
Is he going to... Are you working on your filing now? Are you going to be filing a lawsuit soon?
A class action lawsuit.
Like, yeah, I feel like this is a bandwagon that you need to jump on. If it works, the thing is, this was not in America, right?
No. This took place in India, and to the worst person you want to mess with, an Indian lawyer. So this guy knew he was getting screwed in the process, and he's like, I think I can sue for this. So there's this guy. I guess he went to go see a very popular movie back in 2023. That's how long in litigation this has been in.
Wow.
But he went to a movie, and he said, he went in at 4 o'clock. The movie started. The showtime was for 4:05. That's what he bought a ticket for, 4:05. He said there were 30 minutes of extended trailers, of extended PSAs, of extended advertisements, so much so that he did not get out of the theater until 7 o'clock. So, of course, you have reason to be annoyed. He was more so annoyed and angered because he was planning to be out of the movie theater before a 6:30 interview or a 6:30 business phone call, but that he missed. Because I guess, you're watching a movie, you're not keeping track of your watch or your phone, and then you come out and you're like, whoa, what time is it? I missed that very important thing. And so he sued the biggest movie chain in India, saying that he sued for damages to not only like a monetary value, an undisclosed monetary value because of this business call, but he also filed a lawsuit over mental distress and anguish. The judge heard his case. He pleaded his case, and he said, you are absolutely right. You are owed money. And in fact, he won nearly $1,500 for that case. And this gives me hope, Jamie, that the people are standing up to big theater and their lengthy time-sucking tactics is what I'll call them.
Well, I can definitely vouch for the fact that you have suffered mental anguish, and you have expressed that anguish here on the show multiple times.
Yeah.
I'm not as troubled by it. I actually like the trailers and whatnot. Not so much like all the ads and, like watching like 3 Nicole Kidmans in a row, but I do like the trailers. But still, James, if you had the chance, maybe you should give this guy a call. Be like, hey, how do I get this going here in America? If you file, I'll file. Okay, let's see if we can get some traction on this.
Yeah,
get some spending money.
Again, it just makes sense because if you have a showtime, if you buy a ticket for a 4:05 showtime, it's not like imagine you buy tickets for a plane. And the flight says takeoff at 4:05, but you get in and you're waiting, and then it takes off at 4:35. They're like, oh yeah, you have to wait for 30 minutes of PSA and advertisements and stuff. Like nobody would wait for that. Nobody would accept that. And so why should the movie theater be any different? The trailers, the advertisements, the PSAs should go before the showtime. Yeah. And so I know the argument. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Would you say that, so if they were more transparent, would this fix things for you?
Yes.
Like maybe they didn't get rid of all of that, but they just were honest about it up front on the ticket or something.
Exactly. They should on the showtimes. There should be like color coded. So the first the first time would be, for example, 4:05. That would be in red, so you know. Danger. And then the one in blue, that would be that'd be the actual when the movie starts rolling. That's when. So like this lawmaker in Connecticut, he wants to make it so the theater has to advertise when exactly the movie starts. And again, I know we made the argument, or you may have, or people have, like, well, the advertisements are how the movie theaters make money. Still sell them. People will go. If people want to watch the trailers, which many people do, they'll go and watch the trailers. Like, they don't count the eyeballs that are sitting in the seats for each showtime per hour, per movie, per day. And like, 15, or rather, it has to be even, 16, or it could be odd. Some people have only one eye. So just like these number of eyeballs watch this advertisement, so you get this much money. No, the ticket's already sold. The advertisement's already sold. So that's my spiel. All I'm saying is this Indian lawyer is a hero, and he needs to come to America and represent us.
That's right. He's a hero in James's eye, and we are looking to hire him here because we could all use a little extra spending. Think about how many movies you can watch with the money that you get from suing the movie theater. I don't know.
I would buy the movie theater with the money that I won. And then there's no commercials, no trailers. It's just me bouncing movie theater, eventually losing my mind.
You would be the pre-show entertainment then? You would be like tap dancing up on stage?
Yeah, why not? Ta-da. That's much more entertaining, I think. All right. Well, anyway, so kudos to that lawyer and for setting a precedent on this ongoing battle.
Precedent.
This very important battle that we're all fighting. Now, there's no easy way to change gears, Jamie, but this past week, we lost two actors. Very, I wouldn't say unexpected in regards to Mr. Gene Hackman. He was 95 years old. And so when I first saw a headline saying that he had passed away, I knew, I knew he was 95 years old, so it wasn't really the surpriser. But then the alert kept continuing, followed by, his wife passed away and one of their dogs passed away as well. And so that was very surprising. Yeah. And Gene Hackman, I guess he's been retired for about 20 years. Like, he retired in his 70s, so he hasn't been really in the public spotlight for a very long time. And so this was kind of out of left field. Just the way that this is unfolding. Like, what have you heard so far about the details? Because I have a few.
The way that this is all unfolding, they did not suspect foul play initially, but the circumstances were so strange that, the law enforcement has said that it warrants a deeper investigation into the circumstances here. They were there for quite some time, it appears. Yeah. The front door was open. The wife was in the bathroom, on the bathroom floor with a heater by her head and pills scattered everywhere. And Gene was in another room. So I don't know if this could have been a murder-suicide or just a death and suicide. It seems quite dramatic because his wife was 30 years his junior. She was in her 60s. She was
65 or 64, I think. But the thing is, when I first heard that they passed away, my first thought was carbon monoxide poisoning. And that's what many people online were theorizing because not only did he pass away, she passed away, and there were different, large, big age gap, but also the dog, they had 3, and 2 of them were found on the property still alive, and one of the dogs was found, dead in the closet. And so my initial thought would be carbon monoxide poisoning, and people were leaning towards that as a possible reason of what happened. And then I guess more investigating occurred, and law enforcement, they said that they couldn't detect traces of gas. Again, this was some time from when they passed away to when they were found. So I don't know if that dissipates, and because of that, they have to look into it further to confirm. And then, does that raise the suspicion of was there foul play, or was it, like you mentioned, like a murder-suicide thing? Who knows? But it's such a crazy thing because, as we mentioned, Gene Hackman, 2-time Academy Award winner. He's been in countless movies, so many classic movies that will continue to live on in the minds and hearts of so many people. I wrote down some of the movies that I've seen him in. I haven't seen many of them, and there's one, The French Connection, which he won an Oscar for, that I'm planning to watch sooner than later now because of this. But of course, he was Lex Luthor in Superman 2.
Yes.
He was in the great movie, a really fun movie, Behind Enemy Lines with Owen Wilson. That one's a good one. The Birdcage, also with Robin Williams, and I'm blanking on his name, but he's the voice of Timon. Nathan Lane. So the Birdcage, Royal Tenenbaums, Heartbreakers. I just showed Allie, my wife, a trailer for Heartbreakers that stars Jennifer Love Hewitt, Ray Liotta, and Gene Hackman, and that was like a fun one that I showed her the trailer, and now we kind of are planning to watch it soon. The Replacements with Keanu Reeves, Unforgiven, another classic. So, the list goes on for how many great movies this guy was in, and they showed like a clip. They've been airing, clips of interviews that he's done in the past, and he was asked, what do you want people to remember you by or for? And he said, somebody who helped show the human spirit, the human nature, pretty much showing like what it means to be human. Through all those different roles and the emotions he conveyed on screen. So, yeah, very surprising to hear about his passing and the circumstances.
Well, I think that certainly he will be remembered for that in all of these incredible roles. And we will see what comes out of that investigation into what happened with their passings. You think 95 years old, you just peacefully go, but they've left a mystery behind here.
I was hoping that it would have been reported that, again, this is when it first came out, that, they would have been found in bed, kind of a thing. And
right,
so then that would for sure give the at least the indication that it was carbon monoxide and they didn't know what was happening. A lot of people pass away in their sleep when that kind of thing happens. And so, it's tragic when someone does pass away, but if that's the way to go, that would not be a bad way for it to happen.
Right, at 95 years old.
At 95 years old. Again, condolences to his wife and his family and his wife's family too, because, again, just a really interesting, really bizarre, set of events or circumstances.
And we can all only, hope to live to be 95 and before we go. But, adding to sort of the tragedy of this week, Michelle Trachtenberg, losing her life at just 39 years old. She's around our age. And this one really hit me, James, because I love her in everything, not just in Gossip Girls or Eurotrip, which is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, it's a cult classic. It's
great.
But
she was a Nickelodeon kid.
Yeah.
She was on Pete and Pete.
Pete and Pete. I haven't heard Pete and Pete in forever. Thank you for saying that.
Yes. Pete and Pete. Oh my God. I have the DVDs of Pete and Pete. That was one of my favorite shows.
Nobody has
the
DVDs of Pete and Pete.
Huh?
So nobody has the DVD. That's funny. That's hilarious.
I found them. I went hunting for them because I love that show so much.
It's a good show.
It was. No, it absolutely was. And what was the other one? She was in another Nickelodeon show.
I believe Nickelodeon produced Harriet the Spy.
Yes,
she was also on. I think she was a guest, if not a recurring character, on Clarissa Explains It All.
I loved Clarissa.
Yeah, so many people were speaking about this. As we mentioned, she passed away at 39. She was found in her apartment in New York, unconscious and unresponsive, and was later pronounced dead. At this time, no foul play is suspected. I know some people were theorizing that maybe she had an illness. I think she had kidney surgery replacement. Don't quote me on that. But
she had a liver transplant. She had just had a liver transplant.
So
Which
people
is
were, bringing up,
odd
potential,
in itself.
maybe complications or what have you. Again, we don't know what happened, but, everybody who has worked with her, knew her, had been commenting. And also, I think we mentioned Buffy the Vampire Slayer. My sister and my cousins and I used to watch that religiously on when it was during its live run. But Sarah Michelle Gellar, she came out saying, "I love you" on Instagram. "I will always love you. The hardest thing in this world is to live in it. I will be brave. I will live for you." Blake Lively, she also responded saying, "Everything she did 200%. She laughed the fullest, faced authority head on, and she was fiercely loyal to her friends." Melissa Joan Hart, as I mentioned, with on Clarissa Explains It All. "I'm heartbroken to hear the passing of Michelle, so young, so talented, and so sweet." And then another. The last one I have here is another Buffy co-star, James Marsters. Who played Spike. And he goes,
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he goes, "My heart is heavy today. We have lost a beautiful soul. Michelle was fiercely intelligent, howlingly funny, and a very talented person. She died much too young, leaves behind scores of people who knew and loved her. Godspeed, you are missed." So this one was a big, big surprise when that alert came across my phone.
And that's such a huge hit because they were just getting ready to revive Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Were they? With the same cast or like a new cast?
No, old cast with the original cast.
Wow.
They were going to be bringing Buffy the Vampire Slayer back. It's in the works. It's in the works right now.
Oh, what a shame.
So that is just a major loss there too. I mean, obviously, it's more of a loss that she lost her life, but would have loved to have seen the original cast back together.
Yeah.
But in recent months, Michelle had posted pictures online on Instagram and things like that, and fans had been concerned. Fans had been commenting on her appearance. She appeared gaunt and jaundiced, and people were worried for her health. She had gone so far as to say, "I am healthy, there is nothing wrong with me." So it seems like, any of her health struggles that she had, she really didn't want to make it public. And share, that. But liver transplant, that's very intense. It has a high risk of death. So it's very sad to see this happen to such a great talent. But I gotta say, my favorite performance of hers of all time has to be Eurotrip.
Mine too.
I love that movie.
That's a film that has thankfully become such a big cult classic film. I remember watching that in theaters, and it gets quoted so often. Fred Armisen was one of his first movies, the films that he was in. His creepy subway train character, excuse, and the whole thing of the whole thing where they were Michelle's character and her brother character were drunk and they started making out. Then afterwards, you kissed your sister, or you made out with your sister. Oh my god! So it's such a good, funny movie, and just such a big shame. So condolences out to Michelle's family as well and her friends. Because that one's a tough one.
Now here's an insensitive question, James, and I will preface this with saying it's insensitive what I'm about to say.
Won't make it better, but sure, go for it.
Rule of threes. Yeah. Celebrities go in threes.
Do you believe in that?
I mean, has it been wrong? In the past? I
think statistically, people die all the time, and so you're bound to and what's that grace period? Is it the same week? Is it the same month? Is it the same 2 months? I think, I don't know. I'm not quite. You can't help but think about that for sure, because of the rule of three. It's infamous. But not sure if I necessarily believe it or encourage it to occur.
No. So who's next? Hopefully no one.
Hopefully no one. Hopefully everyone lives forever.
There we go.
Let's see. Speaking of living forever.
Okay. Working these transitions.
Yeah, there's no easy way to get out of this. So we're just going to jump. We're going to leap off this and leap into a discussion that Maya Hawke, the daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman, you may know her from Stranger Things. She's been in several other movies as well and projects. But she came out recently on a podcast. It is the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast. And when I first heard this, it was very I would say initially surprising, but then afterwards I'm like, of course, this is happening. Of course, this is a thing. But Maya Hawke says that in some cases, an actor's social media presence, her following, plays a role in whether or not a movie or a project will get greenlit. She said that. Yeah, she said if you have over a certain number of followers on Instagram, you can get a movie funded, adding that she knows several smart directors who've had producers demand this benchmark number of followers from their cast before moving forward with a project. Jamie, when you first heard this, again, I was initially surprised, but then almost immediately afterwards, I was like, of course, producers are demanding this.
It blew my mind a little bit. And so I knew that this is a thing that they do in other industries of media. Like they do this in publishing very much. Like they won't go with with an author or a new author unless they have a certain kind of a following, or they can prove that they have, a certain amount of followers. But to hear that they're actually applying this to movies, right? And actually having a quota, the way that she talked about it was like, okay, because she wanted to get rid of one of her social media accounts, right? And they were telling her, okay, well, if you do that though, then you're down this many number of followers, and we have to make up for that with someone else that we cast because we have to make this quota. That part of it is what blew my mind, because I get it. Look, I get it. Okay, you want the movie to be successful. You want eyeballs,
make a good movie.
Want people who have a ready-made audience, but but are you shortchanging art? Are you shortchanging cinema by not giving a chance to newer faces who might not have been able to build that following yet? Like, do you have to be savvy on the front end? And not everybody can do that. Like, give us a chance is what I'm saying. I don't think it's fair.
I don't think it's fair either. I'm not going to name names, but there are certain social media influencers who had no background or training in acting, but they were given Netflix movies because they're massive influence and the large number of followers they have. And if you watch those movies or if you look at the reviews and everything, they're not good. They're just like not good. They don't have the it factor or the dedication or the skill or the talent that people who go into this field, this line of artistic expression, that they don't have that. And so those movies struggle. You can tell. I think that, if there's a casting director and he has two actors for a role, and maybe not be the main role, but a side character, what have you, because I'm sure Brad Pitt isn't worried about followers or any other big huge names. But if you had like these two side characters, one is clearly better than the second one, but the second one has more followers, and these producers are allegedly going with or would be more likely to cast the not so good actor, risking the entire movie not being as good as it could be. That's just little to no forethought at all. So how about making a good movie with good stories, good characterization, and then that word of mouth spreads, and then people go and spend money on that instead of like, hey, did you hear blank and blank? This crazy influencer is going to be in this movie, and it sucks.
Yeah. No
one talks about it or remembers it. I don't know. Call me old-fashioned. Call me old-fashioned, Jamie.
Call you old-fashioned.
Do it.
All
I dare
right.
you. So I don't know. I don't like the sound of that. So,
me neither. No.
Let me ask our listeners, our viewers, what do you think about this story? Like, what do you think about Maya Hawke saying, letting the cat out of the bag? Now, she does admit this does not apply across the board. It doesn't apply to every film, and maybe the rule or the strategy isn't applied, all around. But the fact that there are producers out there with this mindset, what do you think about that? Do you think this would help younger generations who are not inclined to go to the movie theater, watch a film, or watch something on streaming services? Or, are you old-fashioned like this dinosaur over here and just thinks that's a horrendous idea?
Yeah.
Comment down below.
God, if you're a dinosaur, I'm an amoeba.
Well, James.
James.
Yeah.
But. Okay.
Yes.
So someone who did have a huge following was a social media star, brought lots of social media star power to her roles, even though the producers had no idea, was Zendaya. Did you know that when Zendaya auditioned for the role of Michelle in the Spider-Man movies, was it? Oh, what's his name? One of the producers.
Tom Holland?
No.
Oh, Kevin Feige?
One of the Marvel producers, John
Favreau,
right. Was sitting in, and they loved her. They're like, wow, she knocked her audition out of the park. They're like, she's great. We've got to hire her. Who the hell is she? They had no idea that she was already like this star with this huge following and all of that. So I'm sure the casting people knew. I'm sure that's why they brought her in. But it was her talent that won her the role. So I hope that continues.
Yeah, that's surprising because Zendaya has been a Disney star since I don't know
they
how
had no
old.
idea who she was.
10 years old. I think she was in Euphoria at the time, right?
Was she? No, I don't think she was in Euphoria yet when they were casting
Euphoria,
for the first
let me ask my smartwatch.
Spider-Man.
When did Euphoria start?
Research. But Zendaya continuing
2019.
her shooting star, across the universe of filmmaking. She's been doing so much lately. She's been in town. 2 projects she's done in Massachusetts in recent years. She's going to be in a huge picture with fiancé Tom Holland and a huge cast coming up as well.
Jamie, you're bearing the lead.
I'm bearing the lead. Wait, no. I know I'm bearing the lead. I know, James. The people need to know that it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey doesn't matter with the A-list cast. Everything that she's ever done doesn't matter compared to what she is going to be a part of now.
Yeah, because what film is getting the green light is Shrek 5. Dun, dun, dun. About time. It's been 15 years since the last Shrek movie, I think. It sounds crazy.
Please don't say that.
I don't know. Let me ask my smartwatch really quick one more time. Let's see.
Shrek.
When did Shrek 4 come out?
May 21st, 2010.
2010. 15 years since the last Shrek movie.
2010 was last year. There's no...
You're right. It was last year. But yeah, that sounds insane. But not as insane as the news that Zendaya has been announced to be joining the cast as Shrek's daughter. She will be joining returning cast members Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz. No word about Antonio Banderas, however, reprising his role as Puss in Boots, who I love because he's based off Zorro, who's one of the best fictional characters in history. But yeah, Zendaya joining the Shrek family.
I mean, that's so cool. That is that. Look, it's cool, right? It's cool. But let me temper it with this: Shrek 4 wasn't that great.
No, Shrek 3 was barely okay.
Yeah, and Shrek 3 was,
Yeah, Shrek 2 is the Empire Strikes Back of the Shrek franchise.
I don't know how much more Shrek we need. That's my only kind of hesitation here. I'm pumped for the original cast. I'm pumped for Zendaya, but how do you feel about more Shrek?
Is this an attempt to rein in Gen Z? Because how they announced Zendaya has joined the Shrek franchise is with this 1 minute little feature video with the mirror on the wall. I don't know if he has a name. The mirror, the face.
Yeah, the mirror guy.
Shrek,
just the mirror.
Yeah, Shrek and Donkey come up and they're like, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And then they start showing memes, real life, real world, our world memes of Shrek. And then one of the Shrek is a BDSM Shrek, another Shrek is an abs buff Shrek, and then that's where Zendaya's head pops in, like, and then that's when Fiona pops in saying hello, and then Donkey's like, or Shrek's saying, who's making these, like the memes, and then Pinocchio pops up, and he goes, not me, and then his nose like grows long, and so like is this Zendaya move in this introduction of the new movie trying to bring in the Gen Z?
Maybe.
What do you think? Maybe
it's a whole new world, man. It's a whole new world of communicating.
Speaking of,
in fragments and whatnot. I don't want to make myself sound old, but it's a new world, and you need to adapt. So that is what they are doing. And they have to reintroduce Shrek, right? It's been 15 years. There's a whole generation that doesn't really know Shrek, doesn't really know the franchise. Like,
they only know the memes of Shrek.
Yeah, so they have their work cut out for to sort of relaunch this ogre upon the world. And maybe we need him. Maybe the world needs Shrek right now. I don't know what
Shrek is love.
But
Shrek is love. Speaking of a whole new world, did you hear the controversy over the slight tweaks to the design of Shrek, Donkey, and Fiona?
No, I did not. Please tell me.
If at first glance, it may be hard to miss, but keen-eyed, supervision-eyed fans on the internet, they say, and I agree. I'm not turned off by it. I'm not hating it. I'm not becoming a hater, but I'm just saying it's out there that people are saying that Shrek and Fiona and Donkey, their appearance has changed ever so slightly. They've made Shrek's face not as wide as it used to be. He's a little thinner by a hair, but just enough where it's a little different. The facial features, the lines, they're a little bit different. Fiona's face looks a little bit different. The most drastic one that looks different is Donkey. If you look at 2010 Donkey, or before, he looks a little cleaner, a little neater than this Donkey, because this one looks a lot more scraggly. Looks like not sure if you're looking at the pictures, but he's looking a little more scraggly. And his hair isn't looking how it used to. I don't know what they're doing, but there are slight tweaks, and the internet is on fire, which only means there's gonna be more memes popping up about this, which will help build buzz around this movie. It's all strategy.
Strategy. Character design important. However, perhaps they are just trying to show the passage of time. Donkey is older. Shrek and Fiona are older. Although she has, like, what is with the creepy smile and look on her face?
Right?
Right? Maybe, but listen, if people are upset enough about it, they can get the studio to change it. It's early enough, guys. If you want to go a full pitchfork and whatever, angry mob after is it DreamWorks?
It's Illumination. So the people who do the Minions. Oh yeah, I guess it's still DreamWorks, but I think Illumination is doing the artwork. I could be wrong by that, but let's Sonicify. Let's have a Sonic campaign for Shrek 5, which we'll definitely be watching in the theaters when it comes out next year. So I'm sure this is going to be an instant classic. So speaking of instant classics, they could have been bad movies, but they are adored by yourself and myself. Nostalgic movies. And you said recently that you watched something that brought you back to childhood. Like the wind was blowing past you, and you felt the earth shake and twist and turn, and you were a child again. Is that right? Was that fair? That's right. Description of what happened?
Just from a little bit of music. A little bit of music leading into the opening of a movie. I was having dinner at my in-laws, and they had like the TV going downstairs on one of these random movie channels. And I started hearing this song. And I started hearing the sound of like baseballs hitting baseball mitts and bats and whatnot. And I'm like, no, I know that. I know that. You know how in the movie, in the Barbie movie, they were talking about Proust Barbie having like that prescient moment where it, like, yeah, like you said, transports you directly into like your 8-year-old body again.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know this. Whatever this is, I absolutely know it. I've watched it 100 times, but I forgot it existed, and I went running downstairs, and it was the movie Major League. Starring Charlie Sheen and a bunch of other folks. And I'm like, oh my God, like, yeah, I was a child parked in front of the TV watching this movie like over and over and over again. I must have watched it over 100 times, literally. And I remember every sound effect, every bit of music, every line. And for somehow I forgot this movie existed until now. Like, I haven't thought about it in decades. So that was just
Wesley Snipes
a trippy feeling. That was a really trippy feeling. And then I texted you. I'm like, James, do you have any movies like this that even just a little twinkle of a sound or, you know, a sound effect or a line, like just, you know, sucks you back into your child body? You're like, holy crap, like, do you have anything like that has done that to you?
The song that played in The Sandlot during 4th of July. America,
yes.
sweet America, God shed your grace on thee. And the kids are playing baseball, but then they stop. Like, Benny hits a home run. It goes flying, but all the kids get distracted and watch the fireworks as he runs the bases. And like that moment, like I could, because I used to play t-ball. I don't want to brag, I'm no athlete, but I played a little bit of t-ball back in the day. And we watched, my sister and I watched The Sandlot on VHS like repeatedly during that period, because we were like, that's like us. And so when that song comes out, or even the dun 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 dun, that song also brings me back to that movie where, again, I'm a kid again. I can smell the grass, I can feel the dirt, I can feel the ball and the grip of it and the smell of the glove. So The Sandlot is one of those movies that brings me back for sure.
Didn't you want to be Benny the Jet Rodriguez?
Hell yeah! Know? Like we got those shoes that he switches out, like as Converse, right? Like he gets they're not they're like the All-Star Converse or whatnot. I forget the exact brand, but he gets, before approaching the Beast to get Baby Ruth's ball. Babe Ruth, the great Bambino.
The great Bambino.
Bambi's mom? The wimpy deer? No, so when he changes those shoes into the new ones, and then he used that to go get the ball and run. I remember like a friend of mine, he got like shoes just like that, and in my head I'm like, oh, you're gonna be able to run faster and jump higher with those shoes just because of The Sandlot. And so whenever I see Converse and stuff, like, that reminds me of that scene in that movie as well too. So that's a core. Yeah.
I love how these are all like baseball related. Like,
I just realized that. Yeah.
From Major League. And you ever watch Angels in the Outfield?
Of course.
I feel like that
growing
was
up in Southern California. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Angels in the Outfield. That was a big one too. That I feel like if I heard the soundtrack.
Again, like as a kid, you just you wish movie moments would become real life, and so I'm playing t-ball in the outfield, and I'm like, what if an angel just lifts me up and I could catch this ball? It never happened. Yeah. I wasn't the best athlete, and so I needed that. I needed a miracle. But that's just funny. Yeah, a lot of good baseball movies in the nostalgia bank.
Yeah, we were a big t-ball movie. We were a big t-ball family. We were all in baseball and softball and whatnot. The one other one I will mention is the kid who breaks his arm, and then his arm is so tight that he can throw like 100 mile an hour fastball. Oh yeah, like it cranks back, it goes like and then he chucks it. Yeah, yes. That one's the rookie. No, is it? And then he goes into the major league. Yeah, his name is Rowan Gardner or something, and the coach can never say his name. He calls him a different thing every single time. I'll look it up, but yeah,
I'm looking it up right now. Just stretch. Stretch for me. Rookie of the year. Rookie of the year. Yeah.
Rookie of the year, yeah.
Again, it's like kind of like Air Bud rules. It's like there's no rule that says a little kid can't throw a ball in Major League Baseball. It's Air Bud rules.
There we go.
That's great. Air Bud's also another good one.
Anything was possible in the 90s.
I know. I wanted a dog that could play basketball. It never happened. Darn it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Darn it.
I'm sorry.
But you know what? Speaking about nostalgic movies that bring us back to our past, it is the 20th. Okay, I'm going to cry
Ultimate
right now.
nostalgia.
Oh my God, 20th anniversary of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Where has the time gone, Jamie? Goodness. I remember.
I don't know. Don't ask me. I'll just be crying in the corner over here.
I know. We're both gonna cry after this episode, rightfully so. But next month, by the time this episode is posted, it will be next month. It will be March, and theaters will be showing Revenge of the Sith. It'll be back in cinemas, and so you can go watch it back on the big screen. But the first time I watched it was at a midnight showing at the I believe the Harkins movie theater in Chino Hills, California. Wow. And I went with my friend, Tyler Prado. Shout out to you, Tyler, because we went in and, all the buzz about, like, of course, this is the culmination. This is when Anakin turns to the dark side and everyone knows he's going to fight Obi-Wan Kenobi and, like, oh my God, and, like, what's going to happen? Meaning, are we going to see Darth Vader? A lot of stuff in the air. But one thing that we were told was that there would be, I think they said 7 or 8 minutes of lightsaber fighting between Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Cool. So, like, dang, that's a badass lightsaber fight for 7 or 8 minutes. And so right when that scene happened, my friend Tyler and I were sitting down, again, midnight showing, packed movie theater, people wearing Jedi robes and with lightsabers and whatnot. And as soon as, like, when they go to Mustafar and then Obi-Wan Kenobi comes out and he's like, Anakin's like, you turned her against me. You've done that yourself. And then, no, if you're not with me, you are against me. And then the lightsabers ignite. My friend he looks over to me and goes, get ready for 7 minutes of lightsaber fighting. And I'm like, yeah. And so, of course, in the movie, it's broken up with scenes in between. But I think if you go back, they may culminate to 7 or 8 minutes. It was like a Thursday showing, Thursday night, midnight. So the next morning we had school. This is my freshman year of high school. And so the next morning we had like maybe 3 or 4 hours of sleep. But we go in, we were in the drama theater class together. And so we go in, still hyped and jazzed over what we just experienced. And we're in there and we're like, oh my God, telling the whole class, we saw Star Wars Revenge of the Sith and the lightsaber fight was amazing. And then we recreated the lightsaber fight on the stage. We had a stage inside the classroom in the drama class, and we're going back and forth like waving imaginary lightsabers. And so that's like a core memory of mine of like watching that midnight with one of my greatest friends of high school, and then recreating that fight scene hours later in front of our classmates. And so that was a good spot, a good time for James. What about yourself?
What a beautiful memory. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
That's great. Yeah. I don't remember the circumstances of me going to see this movie, sadly. I feel like I saw it with my aunt, with PC, but I may have gone to go see it on my own this was, 2005? 2005. So I was a freshman in college. I had my first boyfriend, and he was a jerk, and he didn't like any of this nerdy stuff, so I feel like I probably went by myself. Or if he was there, like, maybe he, like, dampened the excitement. The only thing I remember that it was really great. I really loved it. I thought it was the best prequel movie up until that point, and I was totally invested, and the lightsaber fight at the end was so epic and beautifully done, and I love Ewan, and I love Hayden, and it was perfect until...
Oh no.
Until the very, very end, when they unveil Vader for the first time, and Palpatine tells him, "You killed her." And he goes... And he steps out, and he looks up at the camera, all, like, corny, and he goes, "No!"
No!
And I was screaming no in my heart because that was so corny and crappy, and I hated it, and it ruined the whole movie for me. Well, I tried not to let it ruin the whole movie for me.
Yeah, you forget that part.
But I hated that. I hated it. So I just tried to pretend like that part didn't exist. The rest of it was really phenomenal, and it was great.
I think my theater laughed at that moment, rightfully so. So if they would have rearranged that, so, Palpatine rescues Anakin and then they fly off, and then you follow through with, Obi-Wan Kenobi dropping off the twins, separating Luke and Leia after Padme gives birth and passes away, and then you have that, and then they kind of separate, and then at the end you have. You show Anakin burnt to a crisp, like a little fry in the air fryer that's been left in there for way too long. So as he's there, and then they do all the robotics and the enhancements, and then when the mask comes down and then it clips on, then you hear the psh, psh.
Yeah.
You hear that? That's when
great.
That's when it should end. That's when it should end. Or you could. Yeah.
Go ahead. Or no, if you're going to be distraught over, like, killing your wife, like, freaking cry and wheeze in the mask. Like, don't, no, the corny stuff. But, yes, what were you saying?
You could even show him, being told you killed Padme, whatever, and then the crushing, which we did see, the crushing of all the gear and the robots in the room, and then show that. But but again, even that, I'm just in my head, just that he's still lying down on the table, and the mask comes down, and you see, the mask, the outside, the shiny, beautiful mask, just boom, and then the breathing, and then you could pop back to Obi-Wan on Tatooine, and then you have the sunset, the sun's sunset, and then that could have been the end
editing.
Of it. But other than that, it's definitely the best film of that prequel trilogy. And and again, I was 14, 15 years old at that time, and it was just perfect. It was the perfect theater experience. And a great follow-up afterwards, too.
That's great. I'm so glad you have that, such a clear memory of, all of the circumstances around it, because that is a beautiful experience. How do you feel that it's 20 years later?
Oh, my God. I know. It's insane. It is insane. I can't comprehend time anymore. It's...
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense anymore.
I'm kidding.
But you know what I learned, James?
Yeah.
From that has stayed with me for all times, you must always have the high ground.
Always have the high ground, yes.
Always have the high ground.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
No.
Brother.
No. That's right.
Well, let us know. Right. Those watching, those listening, what was your Revenge of the Sith experience like? And I know the opinions and thoughts, the retrospection of the prequel have changed, evolved over time. Did you love it then? Do you hate it now? Or did you hate it then and love it now? Are you the same? Let us know. Comment down below. And again, if you remember that first time theater experience watching it, share it, because I love hearing and reading those stories. Jamie, speaking about perfect, nearly perfect trilogies. I'm not saying the prequels are nearly perfect, but I'll say the original trilogy of Star Wars. But in the running for potentially the best trilogy of all time, Paddington. Lord knows I love my Paddington. Paddington 1.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
Great movie. Paddington 2 is The Empire Strikes Back of the Paddington trilogy. Just like Shrek 2 is The Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
Of the Shrek quadrology.
Right.
Going to be the quintuplet-dology.
Quintology.
Paddington in Peru. It just came out. It didn't just come out. It came out in England back in November, 3 months ago.
Wow.
And it just made it to the States. They always come out early over there. But it came out to the States.
Did they row it across the ocean? What was the delay?
I know. Yeah. I don't know what they do. They send it in a submarine or in a marmalade jar that they hope they throw into the water, and they hope it just travels to the States. But it has arrived in our movie theaters, and I saw it last night, and I'll give a non-spoiler review. I'll try to keep this concise, but overall thoughts, I really enjoyed it. I think it had a lot of really good moments. I would definitely say it is the weakest Paddington in the trilogy.
Oh, no.
though it's still a good, fun movie that I enjoyed. I did not expect it to be better than Paddington 2 because Paddington 2 is a masterpiece. So my expectations were not that high, and because they were not that high, I left the movie theater knowing that they gave it a good shot, and it's a good way to wrap up the Paddington story if they no longer come out with more. But this is directed by Dougal Wilson, starring Ben Whishaw as Paddington, Emily Mortimer as Mary Brown, Hugh Bonneville as Henry Brown, and Madeline Harris and Samuel Jocelyn as Judy and Jonathan Brown, introducing Antonio Banderas as Hunter Cabot and Carla Tuss, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, as Gina Tabbitt, his daughter, and Olivia Colman as Reverend Mother. The story: Paddington returns to Peru to visit his beloved Aunt Lucy at the home for retired bears, but he finds out Aunt Lucy has gone missing, and it's up to Paddington and the Brown family to find her. Jamie, I know you said you were going to try to watch this last night. You weren't able to, but how high on your must-see list was this film?
Oh, it's pretty up there. So, like I said, like I've said before, I take my kids to the movies every Tuesday because we're the AMC, A-listers or whatever. On Tuesdays, we get discounted movies, and that's when I take them. So, I think Desi's going to love it. Were you able to take your daughter?
No. I dare not take my daughter until she's like at least little. 4 years old, 5 years old.
You enjoyed it for her.
Yes. I'm gonna, after this podcast, I'm going to put her in front of the laptop and then let her watch this portion just so she knows how good the movie is. So just so she gets an idea if she wants to watch it. So she's gonna learn about it through this podcast, through the Hub on Hollywood, good. Which you should subscribe to and follow anywhere you get your podcast. But like I said, overall, a good film. I think the plot of this film is really good. Paddington and the Brown family on a rescue mission in the Amazon rainforest with shady characters hoping to use Paddington to help find this lost treasure. So, you have this rescue mission and you have this treasure that needs to be found. I did enjoy the new setting of this being in Peru. This movie is taking place in a much different place than London. Completely polar opposite. So that was fun, though I will admit I do miss some of the London aesthetics, the feel of the first two movies, but this was a nice change because, we complain often of the sequels are just similar or repeats of the first movies. So I appreciate that they went with it in a totally new direction, new setting. I love that choice. Peru, the jungle, the set, costume designs looked great, just as good on the same level as Paddington 1 and Paddington 2 when it comes to the colors, to the set designs, to the natural settings and places where they shot. Beautiful. So no complaints there. Olivia Colman, she plays Reverend Mother. One of the bigger highlights of the film, she is chewing up every scene she's in. You can tell how much fun she's having in this, whether she's being sneaky, suspicious, or having a song and dance number. She was fantastic. Plenty of laughs, I would say, throughout this film. A number of times where I'm smiling, laughing out loud. So plenty of humor for kids and adults. Antonio Banderas, as I mentioned, he plays an Amazon riverboat captain along with his daughter. However, he has ulterior motives. Now, this is a non-spoiler review, but I think the trailer kind of gives away that, some of these characters are kind of shady. You got to watch your back. His daughter is also a big part of the crew, or part of the crew, so it's like a two-man daughter-father crew, boat tourism kind of thing they have going on. She's trying to rebuild her relationship, so that part was fun. Jamie, however, can't ignore some of the cons of this film. Some things that, if they were a little bit different, would have made this movie even more enjoyable. You heard about the whole mom recasting thing, right? Or no? Yeah,
you talked about that before, right? So it's with a new actress. Was it that much of a difference?
I'm afraid to say yes. I'm not saying Emily Mortimer, who replaced Sally Hawkins, did not do a good job. It's just that I miss Sally Hawkins. She is Mrs. Brown, the mom, and like her personality, her little mannerisms, and just her big smile and personality. I definitely missed it. She unfortunately could not film Paddington 3 because, as I mentioned, they were literally in Peru and she couldn't travel because of an illness, unfortunately. And so Emily Mortimer stepped in. She did well, but again, I just couldn't help but miss Sally Hawkins' original version of the mom. Another part, I felt the family wasn't as utilized as well as in the previous films when it comes to like setting up things that they're into. You know, they do that, but it didn't feel as fleshed out in previous films. And so the family were all there. They didn't all equally do things as, compared to the previous films when it came to, helping the story move along or helping the mission. Though again, they're fun to watch. The biggest gripe, however, unfortunately, I hate to say this, Jamie.
Oh, no.
Antonio Banderas.
Oh, no.
I know. He's having a great time filming this movie. You can tell he's enjoying playing the sneaky riverboat captain, as well as playing a variety of other characters, which I won't reveal immediately. But I do say that he may have been miscast. And without going into spoilers, I know. And again, he's having a great time. He's doing the best that he can. However, I couldn't help but feel like maybe there was another actor who could have given a little more, could have been more convincing, who could have carried the character. Again, the character's traits are good. The story, the plot, the motives, I'm all on board for. I'm just not quite sure if Antonio Banderas was the right person. And I kept thinking, who could have been? And who popped in my head, unironically, was Pedro Pascal. I think Pedro Pascal would have done a great job as the riverboat captain, or it could have been too meta for the film, just because, as we know, in the movie The Unbelievable Weight of Massive Talent, he plays a character who loves Paddington 2. So that could have been a conflict of interest for moviegoers like myself. Again, Antonio Banderas, he's having a great time, and I think he's giving as much effort as Hugh Grant did in Paddington 2, which I appreciate, but I don't know. I'm not sure if it quite worked. So that's my only gripe. Soto. I know, but Olivia Colman, she plays another shady character. She's fantastic in this film. Mr. Brown, the actor who plays Mr. Brown, he's great in this film. He got several big laughs from myself. Paddington, nothing needs to be said about Paddington. He's perfect. So that character development on Lucy, that whole development, and the way this movie ended, I think is a great way to, again, if this is the last movie, great way to put a bow on the story of these characters. There wasn't as much emotional tugging that I felt in parts 1 and 2, especially in part 2, though it does go in that direction, and you do feel like, kind of a little moment of welling, but then, it just doesn't punch as hard as the previous movies. Right. You don't need that, I guess, apparently. I don't know if I was looking to cry in this movie, but it just wasn't there. But again, I'm not trying to bash this movie. It's a fun movie. I think families, kids, parents will enjoy it. Plenty of laugh out loud moments. It looks beautiful. The story itself is solid, I think. So don't take any of the cons and little issues that I had from preventing you to watching this movie, from supporting this movie. So Jamie, I still highly recommend you watch this film with your children, and I don't think you'll leave disappointed.
Wonderful. I love to hear it. The world needs more perfect trilogies, right? Or close to perfect trilogies.
This is a solid trilogy. Again, like even Star Wars. Star Wars. People say the Return of the Jedi is the weakest of the three, but entirely it's a great trilogy. For the Lord of the Rings films, some of them, they're all great. They're all really good. But some prefer. Some would say, 1, 2, or 3 is the weaker one of the other ones. So, again, nothing's perfect, but you can still have a great trilogy, and I would still say this is a great trilogy. I would put that in the Hallmark, in the Hall of Fame, on the wall
On the
of
wall.
great trilogies.
So maybe here's a question that our audience can answer. Besides, are you going to go see Paddington? What is the most perfect movie trilogy ever? That's my question. Maybe we can percolate on that and talk about it next week. But yeah, what is the most perfect trilogy ever? Apparently Paddington, high in the running.
Absolutely. So let us know if you've seen Paddington. Let us know down below. Am I wrong? Are you right? Are you right? Am I wrong? Just comment down below if you've seen it, and let us know what you think. Again, not bad-mouthing, or bashing Paddington at all. But those are my thoughts. Non-spoiler review. Maybe we'll go into a spoiler if you eventually see it, Jamie, because I do have a lot of thoughts on this film.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to get there.
With my wife last night about this.
Yes.
Thank you so much for watching The Hub on Hollywood. If you are watching us, please hit subscribe, like, and share the podcast with those who you think would love more movie talk, who love talking about movies and all that jazz. If you are listening to us on any of the major podcasting streaming services like iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, subscribe, follow, and please leave a review. If you can leave 5 stars, that helps the podcast grow, reach more people, and makes us happy. Makes us all happy.
Exactly.
Makes us forget we're getting older. I think.
Right, because we're both going to be crying in a corner as soon as we're done recording this here today. So until next week, James.
Yeah.
Hopefully there will be no tears next week. But until then, I am Jamie.
I'm James.
See ya.
Bye.